Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are going to give everyone a minute to join, so please get comfortable. We're really looking forward to chatting with you all today. Hi, everyone, and welcome again. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules today. Before we get started, I want to cover some quick housekeeping items. On the right side, you'll see there's a Q&A chat panel. Please feel free to ask any questions and we'll answer them during the dedicated Q&A session. Also, feel free to share with us if you're having any technical difficulties. Our team will make sure to help you out with that. Again, welcome. I'm Christina Louis Dyer, and I lead social impact and sustainability through lob.org here at Lob. And I'm thrilled to be joined by Benedek Kokonieshi, CEO and co-founder of Veezla, and Morgan Bryan, development coordinator at the Travis Manion Foundation. We've invited them to talk about how Lob Salesforce integration has helped the Travis Manion Foundation transform their physical mail outreach and to talk more about how they engage with their audience. And we're really looking forward to learning more today. Thanks for being with us. Lob.org is our dedicated social impact arm here at Lob, and we're focused on driving change through more sustainable and strategic direct mail. As a proud Pledge 1% company, we donate and discount our product for eligible nonprofits like the Travis Manion Foundation and enable our employees to volunteer their time. We really believe that impact happens by partnering with those who are on the front lines and are really the experts in the areas that we want to make an impact. So we're really grateful to get to work with amazing organizations and alliances. So today we'll be talking through how Lob helps nonprofits send more strategic, automated physical mail. Then I'll pass it over to Benedek and Morgan to talk through our Veezla Salesforce integration and how the Travis Manion Foundation is leveraging Lob and Veezla to automate their direct mail processes. Physical mail is an important aspect of fundraising, engagement, and operational excellence that affects all nonprofits. Even in this digital age, physical mail is a channel that still garners the best response rates and conversion, making it one of the best tools for nonprofits to attract new donors and to retain current ones. But as many of you know, and you can probably attest to, sending physical mail is traditionally an incredibly painful process. As a channel that hasn't kept pace with technology and all the innovations that are revolutionizing digital channels, many nonprofits are struggling with the following points. Sending mail is a very slow and disjointed process with long lead times to collect data, requiring significant and costly manual resources. Fixed templates and layouts, as well as simple mail merges, do not allow a deep level of personalization through the use of dynamic content that email and other digital channels can easily offer. And finally, direct mail has evolved into its own isolated island where it doesn't communicate or integrate with any other channel or systems of data. This is exactly what we're trying to solve here at Lob. We enable you to send integrated and dynamic direct mail as easily as you would send email. We have two main products that are incredibly helpful for nonprofits. Our print and mail API, which allows automated, personalized, and trackable mail to be created and sent for maximum impact and responses, and our address verification API, which ensures that addresses are deliverable and cleansed for optimized delivery that will prevent billions of dollars being wasted on undeliverable mail each year. And Lob helps nonprofits like Travis Manion Foundation send important personalized communications across all stages of the donor lifecycle with automated mailings in different form factors. All mail can be dynamically personalized through HTML templates. Letters, for example, can be used to send donor acknowledgement letters, tax receipts, fundraising letters, and other marketing mail to donors and prospects. This can also be further combined with branded outer envelopes or return envelopes, which can be tracked upon its return to make sure nothing goes missing, which we all want to avoid. And for fundraising, marketing, or renewal reminders, Lob can help by providing postcards and folded self-mailers in various sizes as well. And Morgan will share more on that later on how Travis Manion Foundation is really leveraging these different form factors for their work. So Lob also helps nonprofits keep their overhead low by becoming more operationally efficient by automating direct mail and eliminating a heavily manual burden in preparing their communication outreach. With our print delivery network, or PDN, which is our proprietary network of commercial printers that are scattered throughout the US, if you're sending 1 or 1 million pieces of mail, we're able to optimize location of the production of that mail piece to ensure faster production and delivery. So we're really here to help you make direct mail easy, efficient, and strategic. So with that, I know you've heard a lot about Lob already. I would like to hand it over to Benedict and Morgan to talk about Lob's Salesforce integration and how the Travis Manion Foundation is using our technologies for their important work. Over to you two.
Thank you, Christina, and welcome everybody. I'm Benedict Luquinha, co-founder, CEO at Veezla. Just a few words about us, and then I'll hand it over to Morgan, who's the star of the show today, and we'll show you how Veezla and Lob help the Travis Manion Foundation automate their physical mail processes. At Veezla, we've been a Salesforce ISV for a little over 10 years under multiple ventures. We help build some of the most popular apps on the AppExchange, including payment solutions, event management. With Veezla, we help businesses succeed by building a modern business infrastructure. Our team is fully remote, and we took the 1% pledge, under which we also help the Travis Manion Foundation implement our solution. If you're interested, you can find Veezla Print and Mail on the AppExchange today by searching for Veezla or Direct Mail or Lob, and it'll show up. It's a 100% native solution that works with your existing ecosystem on Salesforce, whether you're using NPSP, Philanthropy Cloud, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, you name it, or any other app on the AppExchange. Since Veezla Print and Mail is 100% native, it means that it works out of the box with all those solutions. So just a word about how our solutions are structured. We have our own platform, proprietary platform built on top of Salesforce that allows us to build reliable and easy to scale solutions for really large data volumes. As Christina mentioned, even if it's 1 or 1 million mail pieces, we support that. On top of that platform sits our primary application, Print and Mail, and address verification as well, bringing Lob's APIs and all of the features those APIs offer to Salesforce, so you can leverage the entire set of functionality without ever leaving Salesforce. With that, I'd like to give it to Morgan from the Travis Manion Foundation, who's been fantastic to work with during this implementation. Morgan, please briefly introduce yourself and let the audience know a little more about your organization.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Benedict and the Veezla and Lob teams for having me today. I'm honored to be here and thankful for your support over the past couple months. So like Benedict said, my name is Morgan Bryan. I am a development coordinator here at Travis Manion Foundation. And Travis Manion Foundation, or TMF, as you may hear me refer to it, is a national veteran service organization whose mission is to empower veterans and families of the fallen to develop character in future generations. All of our programs at Travis Manion Foundation are grounded in positive psychology, which means we take a strengths-based approach to the mental health and well-being of veterans, and we empower them to serve as leaders in their communities nationwide and as mentors to youth. We have 7 different regions across the nation that are growing rapidly with volunteer engagement opportunities all around in your backyard. And to learn more about that and to learn more about our programs and get involved, you can visit us online at travismanion.org or on any social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. So with that, Benedict, should I dive into kind of our use cases for Veezla today?
Yes, please. And if you wouldn't mind talking about how you found Lob and Print and Mail.
Yeah, absolutely. So as with any development department, our team has 2 major focus areas. Number 1 is gaining new donors and funders to support our programs, but also, and perhaps most importantly, is recognizing and maintaining and retaining that current support base. So acknowledging and thanking donors to us isn't just about tax receipts, but providing a timely acknowledgement that gives the donor a sense of where their money is going and the impact it's having on our constituents and their communities across the country. So prior to approaching Veezla, our team was using a third-party mailer to send our letters. And essentially what we were doing was pulling donor lists from our Salesforce database report every week, cleaning the CSV file ourselves as staff to ensure that everything looked correct, and then sending that report off to a third party to do a mail merge for us and stuff envelopes to send them out. This, as you can imagine, was a pretty arduous process. It took a few hours every week, a few hours of staff time, and we were having to supply this third party with all of our own branded envelopes, and we were paying for these envelopes, the paper, and other materials as well. We had no tracking of our letters or any kind of address verification. So unless the letter was returned to our headquarters office, we really weren't 100% sure that it was even received by the donor. Our IT team at Travis Manion Foundation is wonderful, and they're very on top of correcting our Salesforce database and deduplicating records as they come from many different platforms for donations. And all of our data, all of our donor data ultimately ends up in Salesforce. So we really want everything to communicate with Salesforce. Because of this, there was no reason to be pulling data from Salesforce to give it to a third party to do mailers somewhere else. We really, like I said, wanted it to be native. So that's where Veezla and print and mail came in. With Veezla and Lob's print and mail integration, our team was able to use essentially the same criteria we had been using in our original Salesforce report that we were pulling, but they made it smarter using a flow within Salesforce to direct our donor acknowledgements to the right donor letter templates for special campaigns, ensuring that donor names were formatted correctly, that our addresses were correct before the mail was even sent out, and that we were able to track letters and correct failed records for the future to make it cleaner. So today, with Veezla and Lob's assistance, we are happily spending half as much money than we were per year before we were introduced to them. And our processes are smoother and nearly completely hands-off. So we're not spending that valuable staff time cleaning reports ourselves, which means that we're able to devote that time to our mission, which is our ultimate goal. It's really incredible to know that we can trust an automated Salesforce application with the task of thanking donors via mail in a timely and meaningful way. It's very important to us. And our team, now that we've completed this integration, which we're excited to show you, we're excited to explore additional use cases for print and mail, such as tax receipts and postcards and other mailing uses moving forward. So to start off, Benedict, I guess you and I can show a bit more about how Travis Manion Foundation is using the system.
Absolutely. And thank you. That was fantastic context.
Yeah.
I'm sharing the screen. We're in Travis Manion's, one of Travis Manion's sandboxes. And I have to do a shout out to Steve from Azimuth DS. We've been working with him as TMF's implementation partner, and he was absolutely essential to getting everything right with the flows. And we've had a tremendously great experience with them. So if anyone needs a consultant for NPSP, Azimuth DS is a fantastic partner that we can highly recommend. What we'll be showing today is some of what they've put together in terms of flows. As in every sandbox, there's limited data, and we've set up a couple of test records. But maybe before jumping into that, Morgan, would you mind just giving us a high-level overview of what your initial requirements were for sending some of the content pieces, such as the general thank you letter and the in honor of letters, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said earlier, Travis Manion Foundation is using Veezla and Lob right now to send all of our donor acknowledgement letters. So for any various campaign, whether that's our end of year gala or a special race event or a golf fundraising event, we send out special letters for all of those. So we send acknowledgements to all one-time, individual, corporate, and foundation donors. We have a general thank you letter for the average donation that comes in, but we also have special, like I said, and more deeply personalized thank you letters for donors who give in honor or in memory of someone, which we have a lot of donors that do that. In addition to these, we have specialized acknowledgement letters for those who provide event sponsorships and donations to special campaigns. These letter templates are triggered by the campaign source of the donation in Salesforce, and each letter template is linked to a signer as well. So, for example, our president is the dynamic signer of most of these letters, so it draws in her signature, but occasionally we can pull in other signers, such as the chairman of the board or another staff member. Each letter pulls in the donor name and donation amount dynamically. And in the case of donations made in honor of somebody, we send a letter also to the honoree to tell them who donated in their name.
And I think we can create a ad hoc donation under this contact, and we can show the audience what that looks like. So right now we are creating an individual donation as maybe someone at TMF would do manually, right? So I'm entering a closed, fully funded donation under, let's say, a general campaign, which was Memorial Day, and I'm closing it today. And please bear in mind, this could come in via Class C, as some of TMF's donations come in, or any other third-party integration. It doesn't have to originate in Salesforce. It certainly can. So as soon as we save this donation, which represents money that TMF received as a closed, fully funded donation, this was the one that we just created for $200. What you can also see is there's a print and mail piece created for this donation. So this donation, again, was closed, fully funded. And this happened via this flow. Part of this flow is responsible for creating this. A flow like this is enabling customers to really point and click configure our application. So even your staff or consultant you're working with, or at Veezla, we can help you do this. And this gives you full control over what is happening. And one like this takes only a couple of hours to set up, including specifications from both ends. But right now, let's look at a print and mail piece. So print and mail is 100% native, which means it's part of your Salesforce org, just like as your contacts, accounts, households, donations, and so on. You can interact with it just like you would with any other record. A print and mail record represents a physical piece of mail. In this case, this is a general thank you letter that went out. But right now, we can see that the addresses are being pre-filled based on the contact record, the donation that got populated via that flow, as well as merge variables that personalize this. Instead of waiting for August 8th, we're going to manually process this. And while we do that, I'd like to mention that the auto process on feature allowed TMF to really give a couple days between the mail pieces that go out, so they can manually check until the process is fully trusted that the right letters are being sent to the right donors. And as we can see, this turned into a processed letter that we pushed through TMF's LOB account. And this is what the letter looks like with the field merge variable. So as you can see, the recipient's address is displayed, the date of August 8th is displayed, and the name as well as donation amount, which serves as a text receipt in this case for the $200, the day on which it was made, and the dynamically brought in signer. Everything is filled dynamically in this piece of content that's HTML. What does it look like without the content being filled in? And that's something that looks something like this. So you have merge variables from LOB, first name, send date, signer name, the signer's signature. And those are all dynamically filled with your data that lives inside of Salesforce without having to bring in external data. On that note, you can bring in external data if you want to. But right now, what we wanted to show you is the process of creating the general thank you letter. We've also created an example donation, which we haven't turned into processed, closed, which is going to be an in honor of, and maybe Morgan, if you could tell the audience a little more about that use case and what that really looks like from a requirement and day-to-day standpoint, and then I'll show the creation of the print and mail records.
Sure. So this is right now the most dynamic our donor acknowledgement letters get is for this in honor of letter. And we also have in memory of letters. But for the in honor of letter, that means that we're sending a letter to the person who the donation was made in honor of, and also the donor themselves. So when a donor submits a donation in honor of somebody, they receive a special letter acknowledging this individual that they are giving in honor of and the gift they gave in honor of them. So in the case of a donation that was submitted in honor of someone, the honoree also receives a personalized letter with their contact information, should that be given to us from the donor themselves. And this lets them know the name of the individual who gave in honor of them, but not the amount of the donation. So we want to make that distinction. And all of this dynamic information is pulled into the flow within Veezla from the information that original donor gave us. So I guess we can show that donor letter first, which is slightly different and more personal than the general donation letter, as you can imagine.
Absolutely. And here, as we can see, there's no print and mail created for this particular donation. As soon as I put it into closed fully funded, and if it came in via Classy or an integration or somebody added it right away as closed fully funded, there would have been those two print and mail pieces created. So as we see, there were two print and mail pieces that got created. One will be for the donor. And as we can see, this is for the honoree. And this one over here will be for the donor. So for the donor, we're using the address, which actually coincides with the honoree address, TMF's corporate address. But for this one, we're using the address from the dedication contact. So we have the ability to work with standard Salesforce address fields, whether that be string, the old-fashioned string fields, or the pick lists for state and country. We can also work with custom address fields and map them dynamically and treat them as a real address field that we can then use Lob's address verification API to verify whether it is a deliverable or a non-deliverable address. And in this case, that was a custom set of fields, and we are bringing that dedication contact's address in via this donation. So as soon as I process this, we can see the difference between the two letters. And this is all created via the flow inside of Salesforce. Nothing custom code involved in it, just point and click configuration. So right here, we're going to have the letter that the honoree, I believe, received. And right here, we're going to have the letter that the donor received. And that's really as easy as it gets, even if there needs to be an honoree and a donor letter created. So for the donor, we have the text receipt as part of that. And of course, for the honoree, we don't have to say that, nor the amount of the donation. It's just a nice letter to let them know. In terms of a day-to-day, Morgan, what happens when things don't go as expected with, let's say, addresses?
Right. So when it comes to addresses, this current system that we have, so Veezla and Lob, will do automatic address verification for us. So once a donation comes through, let's say that the zip code has an extra number on the end, should the city and everything else be correct, it will automatically fix that for us, and the letter will process, which is absolutely wonderful. We're not using that valuable staff time to fix those ourselves. Of course, as with anything automated, not everything can be fixed automatically. Let's say the zip code is it's a foreign zip code, or it's wrong, and Lob and Veezla can't figure it out themselves. They'll flag us in this to fix folder that you brought up. So these will come in, and I'm happy to report there's not very many of them. So we really don't need to do this too often. But we do have staff maybe like once a week, twice a week, go in, just make sure that nothing has been flagged. And the good news is, if it was flagged, they tell us exactly what was wrong with it. There's an error code.
Right. So in this case, this failed to process, and this record actually went to Lob. We catch a lot of the errors before they would go to Lob, right? But this one clearly is using a zip code from New York, and the state is Alaska, and the city is Greenwich. Quite hard for an address verification solution to figure that out. And the way to do this is going back to the source, right? So now we have this contact with that last name, wrong address. And once we come back to the contact and we fix this quickly, we move back to Connecticut. We change that there. The only thing we need to do is really to come back to the print and mail piece on that to fix list that we just looked at. Whoops. On this to fix list here. And this could be set up as a console application, which streamlines this process, which TMF is using, not set up in the sandbox. But this was the record that had that wrong address, right? But we went back and fixed it on the contact. So as soon as we reprocess this record, we ensure that the information from the source is being brought in and processed successfully. After a refresh, we'll see that this got processed, and we have a valid letter that went out to this contact, and that address is now standardized USPS CAS certified by LOB, and the issue got resolved that way, and the contact's address has also been corrected at the source. So that pretty much explains how to deal with records that have missing address information or incorrect address information. Some of the things that we can also do natively as part of the integration is work with campaigns. So under campaigns, if you would like to send a large number of mail pieces, we enable you out of the box to do that. For TMF, we haven't implemented that feature yet, but it allows you to send print and mail pieces dynamically to certain campaign member statuses and then automatically change those campaign members to a different status. We also have a feature that's called mass mail, which is really the bazooka of mail sends, how we refer to it. Is a much more elaborate way to send mass mail. This is almost like a campaign with campaign members. It's a little bit different. The mass mail allows you to use custom SOAP queries to send mail pieces, use report IDs to mail to a specific audience. It allows you to do radius search. So if you're doing an event in a certain city, let's say you have your upcoming event in Cincinnati, then you can mail if you have the addresses for the recipients, and LOB gives you the geolocation for the verified addresses, which then we can use to verify those using the radius search, and let's say set a 5-mile radius for that particular event. So your invitees will get the event invite only if they're 5 miles from that particular location where your event is going to be. And that's something that we're looking to implement for TMF in the future as well. And with that being said, a couple of other features that we support that TMF is not leveraging yet, but it's worth mentioning. With LOB support for return envelopes, you're able to send return envelopes to your recipients and include a perforated page that they can then include and send back. If you wanted to include prepaid return envelopes, you can order custom return envelopes at a very low cost from LOB and print your own ID. And then that way it's going to be the permit number, a prepaid return envelope, so they don't even have to worry about putting that stamp on the letter. And that's something that we're looking to implement for TMF in the future as well. A couple of other use cases, low-hanging fruits, we refer to them, birthday postcards. So when you have someone's birthday coming up, and I'm jumping into a different org here very quickly, there's one day until this person's birthday. And if we change this to today, this person, and obviously we would probably like to send this out a little earlier, maybe seven days or so earlier. We just created the postcard for Elon to receive, and we haven't set the name source to a good example on how to fix a record in this example org, and we'll reprocess it, and we'll see a process postcard that's personalized. So that's one way to send and automate completely the send of postcards, for example, for people with upcoming birthdays. So this obviously is an offer prompting Elon to get 55% off because he just turned 54, right? So this is one example of a personalized postcard that could go out from Salesforce. If, let's say, one of your donors request a acknowledgement letter or a text receipt, a one-off one. On the contact record, this is just a simple screen flow. You can select a letter to be sent. It could be the text receipt, could be, something that might be of interest for this particular donor. And by, hitting next, we just created print and mail. And this one will get auto processed, and it's with a different template. So just wanted to give you a couple of ideas how you can leverage print and mail, just aside from acknowledgement letters and fully automated text receipts for one-off mail sends and things such as a happy birthday postcard. And I think with that, we covered the bulk of what print and mail offers, and would like to hand it back to Christina to see if there are any questions.
Yes, thank you, Benedict and Morgan. I loved seeing how TMF is really leveraging technology to free up staff time so you can really focus on your mission critical work. So thank you for sharing that with us today. We'll open it up to questions from the audience. We actually had a few come through already, so I will start with those. But again, feel free to utilize the Q&A chat on the right side. Morgan, the first one's for you. My concern is that automating the donor acknowledgement process could cause our thank you letters to seem impersonal. What has your experience been regarding the personal touch of the letters?
Yeah. So I actually had the same concern. And that's why we were doing it in such an arduous process. Thanking donors is really personal, just as giving to any cause is personal. And as many of our donors give in honor or in memory of their loved ones, it's extremely important to us to ensure that our letters are formatted correctly and are including the correct names and have that personal touch. Veezla and Lob allow you to get really granular, as you saw, with including donor data within your letter template. Our letters can reference the names, even the locations of our donors, and really explain the impact of the donation that was made according to that specific campaign that the donor gave to. And also we're exploring in the future sending mail that references the impact that donation had on the ground where that person lives. So we can get really granular like that. Honestly, with Veezla and Lab, it gives me and our whole development department a lot more peace of mind than we ever had before, even back in the day when we were handwriting these ourselves. Something as simple as ensuring that a name isn't in all caps. Veezla has a feature that will put it in a regular case in a letter as it should be, rather than like Morgan in all caps when I receive a letter. Also having address verification to ensure that our donors are even being reached in the first place. That's another way we personalize this, and we can really ensure that their letters are following them. And being able to tell our donors that they can expect their letter to arrive on a Tuesday. If I'm talking to someone on the phone, I can say your letter is on the way. It is slated to be there on Tuesday next week. And once the flow is set up, it's really intuitive and hands-off, but we have the ability to go back and dynamically change something should we wish to. We can change our stats that we have on our letters that you saw on the corner as they change. We can change them real time to make sure they're reflecting real impact. So to me, I think that's as personal as it can get. And having these in addition to our other personal touch bases that we do is important to us. So yeah, thank you for that question. It was a good one.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I appreciate when my mail is not yelling at me in all caps.
Absolutely.
Benedict, do you want to add anything there?
Not much to add, honestly. We're thrilled to be able to help TMF and other nonprofits, and we look forward to working with them. I guess on that note, I'd like to say we also offer a nonprofit discount. So please feel free to reach out and inquire about that. But I think we have a couple more questions. I see one which is about nonprofit Postage, which we actually got in the past quite often. Maybe Christina could help answer that.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we don't support nonprofit postage at this time. However, it is on our roadmap, and we know that that's incredibly important. But similar to Veezla, we also donate and discount our product as a Pledge 1% company, and we've really done that intentionally to offset the costs. As you heard from Morgan, with these technologies, there's actually a strong chance that you will be saving money even without that nonprofit postage. But as always, we know that every dollar counts. So we're really working hard to be able to offer that in the future. Thanks, Benedict.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, on that note, what I would like to point out, even without the nonprofit postage, what we're finding and what TMF experienced as well, the cost usually after implementation is about half of what the average spend was prior to it, including license fees, including the mail cost altogether. Not even factoring in the soft cost, which sometimes tend to be the largest portion of that cost and actual effort.
Yes, I have stuffed many of envelopes, so I hear that. Thanks for adding that too. And then I saw this one come through, and I'm actually combining two that came through. How long does it take to implement the solution? And if I don't have an admin or consultant I'm working with, do you have an implementation partner who specializes in nonprofits? Benedict, I'm going to shoot that over to you.
Okay, so that depends. Our fastest implementation was about an hour and a half from executing all contracts to going live. But that could take weeks depending on your requirements. If you'd like to change, anything very particular to your processes, I would say overall the effort required in hours from our end or from an implementation partner, sometime between 3 and 5 hours. If the requirements aren't that complex. With TMF, we had really complex requirements, so that probably was closer to the 10-hour mark with the honor e-letters. So the donor and the honoree letters are, received as well. But I would say in terms of time frames, maybe about a week to two from the time you make the decision that you'd like to leverage our integration. And in terms of implementation partners, as I did a shout out to Stephen Jenkins at Azimuth DS. You can reach him at sjenkins@azimuthds.com. He's been absolutely fantastic to work with, and their clientele mostly are nonprofits, so I would highly recommend them.
Thank you. And then I see one here. I think this is probably going to me. Can you print with union printers? So this is also something that our partner ops team is actively working on. I mentioned our print delivery network earlier, PDN, and it's definitely something that we are looking to continuously expand and add some union print shops too, based on some of the demand that we've heard recently. So also on the roadmap and hoping to be able to do that soon. Let's see here. Benedict, actually, I'm going to shoot it back over to you. Looks like we have another one here. Can I send QR codes with embedded payment links?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So I guess we should mention that QR codes are a fantastic way to customize and personalize a mail piece. Not only to do that, but to be able to attribute that back to the exact record in Salesforce. So with QR codes, we can include a personalized one-off QR code on each print and mail, which then ties it back to the Salesforce record, or any other information that we want to include. That could be a payment link as well. What does that mean? So let's say someone scans a QR code, which does happen to be a payment link, but we also pass the URL parameter with the Salesforce ID in it. That way, maybe your marketing solution calls back to Salesforce, or just a simple website integration back to Salesforce. And now suddenly, not only you could send a really personalized payment link, which then ties that contact, knowing that it's really individual for that specific person, but also you can track that mail open. So let's say you drive them to a donation page to donate for a certain cause. Then in Salesforce, we can reflect that along with real-time tracking information, as Morgan mentioned earlier. So you now have full visibility into physical mail, just as if it was email, which I think is a fantastic tool to leverage inside of Salesforce. And then I see a question here, and I know, Morgan, this was a question from your organization as well. Can we include anything in the envelope along with letters, Christina?
So right now we have certain form factors: postcards, letters, self-mailers. We also work with checks, and we have custom envelopes and return envelopes. We aren't able to do like stickers, or like, I think one of the things I received recently was like a logo on a cookie. Like, those are all fun and delicious, but we've really seen that the bulk of mail is in these form factors that we offer already and really bring the most value to folks. So we're always open to feedback, but it is dependent kind of on what we're able to currently work with. And then Morgan, I know that these decisions don't happen in a silo. This is one thing that came up. And so one of the folks is asking, which internal stakeholders did you work with? And then how did you get buy-in to like make, a technology change? I know sometimes it's hard to really change what's already, quote unquote working.
Yeah. So honestly, the first thing we did was make a pro-con list, to be honest, with our current or our past provider that we were working with and Veezla and Lob. We got all the pricing information. Benedict was kind enough to connect us with Lob and talk about the different discounts and stuff we could have as a nonprofit. And that was really helpful. So we compiled that information, that along with the soft cost of the staff time that we were spending with our old system, kind of making the case for, I'm doing this by hand about 3 hours a week. This is what I could be doing with those 3 hours, especially as a nonprofit. Your time is really valuable and important to your mission. And so after reviewing it like that, and just knowing that the implementation from start to finish didn't take very long, it wasn't a hard decision for us to make. As far as other stakeholders that we worked with, we actually used very similar letter formats as far as design goes with what we had before. It was just as far as making those dynamic with Veezla and Lob. So we worked with our marketing team, but really it doesn't take very many staff. You have someone like Benedict working with you who is able to kind of work his magic on the back end. You really tell them what you want and what you're looking for, and they're able to make it happen. So it was an easy decision for us, especially when it came down to cost. And I hope that answers your question. I think there were about 5 of us, 5 staff members kind of weighing in on this process. And now it's really hands off. So we're not spending a lot of time working in the system.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Great. Well, that looks like it is all the questions we've received. So we are going to actually close out, but you can always find us in the following ways. So on Salesforce, you can go to the App Exchange and find us by searching for the keyword direct mail or typing Veezla printed mail. You can also email us or visit respective websites at Veezla.io or at lob.com. And please check out the work of the Travis Manion Foundation. They're absolutely incredible. And then if you do want to learn more about some of the nonprofit and social impact work that we're doing here at Lob, you can also visit us at lob.org. So lots of resources for you. We hope that you'll reach out. Thank you so much for attending today's session on the new Salesforce and Lob integration. We hope you learned a few things today. And again, please do reach out about how we can partner to really automate your print and mail to save your organization time so you can really focus on the most critical parts of the work that you do. So thank you, Benedict and Morgan. Thank you all for joining us. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.